their 40s. Similarly, colon cancer, the number of colon cancers under age 50 has tripled over the last 10 years. So is it the food? Is it what we're exposed to? Whatever it is, we're seeing a rising number of cancers. And the thing with cancers, no matter you eat right and exercise, the number one risk factor for getting cancer is bad luck. As simple as that, because you don't know. Most people who have cancers, they may not have a family history of it to say that it is a genetic cause. Yes, you have some families that tend to get more cancers than others. But, even non-smokers, people who love to talk about red meat, that's not so much of an issue now. But we do have quite a number of cancers worldwide. Now, the problem with Jamaica is this. Our cancers, we are growing in cancers, the number of cancers we're seeing annually. But the problem is not unique to Jamaica, but it is seen in a lot of countries. We are seeing these cancers diagnosed at a higher stage, meaning that it gone bad already.
Yes.
By the time they present. So for breast cancers, too often we're seeing breast cancers being presented when they're advanced, meaning that they started to grow and spread into the skin. They start to go under the arm, what we call the Waxan canal, that's the lymph nodes, or spread to other areas in the body. Prostate cancer is the same thing. A lot of men are picking up prostate cancer when it has spread to the bones or has spread outside of the organs, and is when it starts to affect the nature. They're really going and check it out. Colon cancer is another one again. That's the third leading cause of cancer. In females, it's third. In males, it's second. Overall, it's third. But colon cancer, 75% of the colon cancers discovered here in Jamaica are advanced. Now, what that is telling you is that we're just not screening for cancer. So I like most of the talks that I give, I speak about the pillars of good health. We hear that we must eat right and we must exercise. But the third pillar is that you have to screen, because you don't know when you can develop a cancer or a chronic disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. As I said, half of Jamaicans don't really have a diagnosis of high blood pressure. Similarly with diabetes, about 13% of the population is diabetic. About half of them don't know. And a lot of times when they drop down in a diabetic coma, or they get a cut and the cut can't get better, that they realize, they say that the blood too sweet, and that is when they get that diagnosis of diabetes. So we have to screen. We have to check. Even when you're healthy and nothing wrong, you want to pick up these conditions when they're not at the stage where they're causing obvious signs and symptoms. And for breast cancer, that's a mammogram. A mammogram is like an X-ray, but is a very lightweight X-ray. The light shining through is very dull, and it's supposed to get the film dark. If you have a cancer in the breast, now cancers tend to have attract calcium like chalk. So when you look at the mammogram and you see this area where it looks chalky, like some little speckles, it could be a cancer that is what you call in situ, meaning it hasn't developed the ability to spread yet, or it could be a full-blown cancer. But you pick that up at a stage where you are not feeling a lump, or you don't have anything on the arm, or you don't have any bloody nipples, or bloody nipple discharge, or anything like that. That is a way better prognosis, meaning that it's easier to treat, it's cheaper to treat, and you're more likely to get a cure than if you pick up a cancer where it has already spread. Similarly with colon cancer, unfortunately, we're picking up colon cancer when you're seeing bleeding, obvious bleeding, or the tumor blocked up. Prostate cancer is even worse with men, because men just don't screen. So the majority of prostate cancers that we pick up are advanced prostate cancers, because we're not doing the blood test, the PSA. Most men don't want the finger up their butt, so they just don't go in for screening. I don't know what the figures are based on what we get, but WHO estimate that just over 80% of men who are eligible for screening for prostate cancer, meaning that you're over age 40, they've not gone in for screening because they're afraid of the finger. And the truth is that...
So is there an alternative to the finger?
The blood test.
So there is a blood test that can be done.
Right.
Confirmed.
But again, though, some men don't want to go. All right, so I did a screening 2 days ago, and we had to put up a big sign. No, we had to make it highlighted in the email going out. No finger, and that is how we got, the men to come in and get the screening, because it was the blood test. But even then, they were making jokes about it and saying they came to, some guys said they come to look and make sure there's no finger before them. They get the blood test.
Oh, okay.
There's a cultural taboo, and it's not just Jamaica. Is the Caribbean, North America as well. But the thing is, prostate cancer affects more black men than in the Caribbean than any other area or race in the world. So we're at highest risk of dying from prostate cancer. We may not have it in Jamaica. We may not have the highest rate in the world. I think it's Guadeloupe or one of them islands there. They're much, much higher than us. They screen, so they pick up their cancers earlier. We, like I said, is when the boy not working good. That is when men go to doctors, or they block up and get stoppage of water. And I said this again, I've said it a lot of times, it's not black pepper that causes stoppage of water.
Is what causes stoppage of water?
For most instances, is the prostate. The prostate can be swollen from a condition we call BPH. Now that is not cancerous. That is just it grow big, right? The prostate is a little gland in between the bladder and at the base of the penis, and it's about the size of a guinea.
Yes. And
it produces the liquid that mixes with the sperm to form the ejaculate, the semen, and it helps to make the sperm be in a state where it can get the fertilize the egg and get the female pregnant. But over time, men naturally get a bigger prostate. It may grow very large. I've seen prostate as big as a grapefruit. So you move from the size of a guinea to a grapefruit.
Wow.
You understand that is a serious growth. So it's going to, so what passes through it is that tube, the urethra that comes from the bladder, goes to the prostate and then through the penis. Right? So if that blocks up, that is how you get the stoppage of water. You get frequency, you go to the bathroom often, urgency, you have to run. You have to wake up in the night to pee a couple times. And then after a while, it may just block up completely. It may get urinary tract infection because the urine stagnant. In the stagnant water, that's how it starts smell after a while. So the urine will develop a urinary tract infection. So I've thrown a lot out there, but the moral of the story is that we are in a time now where cancers are increasing.
Yes.
You can choose whatever reason you want to believe for that. But we have a reality that cancers are increasing. You can eat right and exercise, and you're still at risk for cancer. So you have to get screened.
So we don't have mandatory health cards that gives cancer screening. Like the government is not at a place where it make it mandatory. If you were to form a next PMP government and as health minister, would you make it mandatory for women to be all Jamaicans to be screened for cancers?
Well, I've made presentations to the executive and the NEC about my thoughts on how we should approach chronic diseases, cancers, diabetes, high blood pressure, and so on. And I think that the best spend we have for the health dollar in Jamaica is in primary care, meaning that you screen and treat the diseases before you get a point where the patients have to go to hospital or you have to do complex surgeries and so on. I'm going to answer your question, but I digress. Just to emphasize that point. Today, I was at KCMC seeing some patients. It was the World
Homeless Day.
Right, World Homeless Day. So we were there doing some, I didn't get a chance to do much screen because I recently, but talking to a gentleman, he has 2 days worth of insulin left to control his diabetes, and his next appointment to the clinic is at the 28th. Now, guaranteed, if something is not done to intervene, and luckily the social workers made aware of his situation, intervene.
Yes.
But if that man did not get his insulin prescription refill, guaranteed he would have been in the emergency room of the hospital. So you understand that a failure at primary care leads to the overcrowding in the hospital.
In the hospitals.
And unfortunately, we have gutted primary care and we're putting up a lot of big buildings for hospitals and not understanding that it is primary care that is, it's better to out the fire in the kitchen before it spread to the rest of the house. Better you out it on the stove. So that is my approach, and it's not something that's unique. It is something that is well established. Jamaica did very well in the 60s, getting rid of a lot of these chronic diseases, polio, yaws, TB, and so on, by focusing on primary care. And that is where I think we ought to shift the focus again to put the money, the resources in primary care.
You're saying you have no problem building out infrastructure, but you would have spent a significant part of the budget into primary care.
Primary care. Control the diabetes, control the high blood pressure, screen for the cancers. Now, I wouldn't say mandatory, but one of the proposals that we are looking at, and we have to figure out how we're going to fund it as well, and how to make it available to those who need it the most, is a national health insurance. Now, if you go back into
national health insurance,
just like how you have Obamacare, you know, we would have to do something like that here in Jamaica, because you can't say you have free health care and you need to do a surgery, you have to buy the mesh for the hernia, you have to buy the stitches to come back. You know, if you're doing eye surgery, you have to buy the knife for them to cut the eye. All of these things, you know, they cause a serious problem. But to answer your question, I would enact a program so that screening is available and screening is affordable or free for Jamaicans who want to take that up. Well, you can't mandate people, but you have to educate people to understand that, hey, you might afraid to find something, but if you're really screening, you know anything you find, you're going to find it early. So really and truly, screening gives you peace of mind that you can't have no advanced disease popping up on you. Because anything you're going to find, it is going to be pre-cancerous or easily treated. And then you treat it and go about your business again. It's when you're afraid to go screen because you don't want to find out and get any bad news that you are likely to get a diagnosis for an advanced disease years down the road. And in screening, I've found so many colonic polyps that would have gone on to turn into cancer. You know, we have found so many pre-cancerous or you know, pre-invasive cancer, the cancers in the breast that would have likely turned into the invasive cancer that cancer. We have found so many of them as well. You know, any woman who has cervical cancer now, it is a failure of the system, because we know that with a pap smear, you can pick up the cells just as they are turning into the cells that can go on to become cancer. And you can treat it. You can get rid of it completely. But right now, we're not doing enough pap smears. I don't even know if there is, well, there maybe is one working mammogram in the public health system across Jamaica. I believe there's only, and I'll stand corrected if it's not one, it is two. So let me make it, I don't think you have more than two. It may be just one mammogram in the public health system across Jamaica to serve all our women.
And there's how many facilities? About 14 hospitals across Jamaica?
No, we have 23 hospitals in Jamaica. 23? And at most
out
two
of the
mammograms.
23, you only have two mammogram, might? So
you understand the issue where I'm saying that we are failing we're failing our people because a mammogram costs. You can get a good refurbished mammogram, you know, if that's the route you want to go, if you don't want to spend out a big buck. So 25,000, 30,000 US, and you get that installed. You're saving so many lives.
Yes.
And the cost savings that you get from picking up an earlier cancer, where you just cut out the lump, is completely different from telling a woman that you have to take off her breast completely, or you have to give her a round of chemotherapy to try and shrink a tumor so you can do the breast conservation and then the radiotherapy and so on. It gets very expensive. If you're doing radiotherapy privately, it's going to cost you about 25,000 US. That's over $3 million. You know, almost 4 million. So, and we have machines that keep breaking down.
So Dr. Dawes, you just said where I'm gone. I think you're saying is only 2 mammogram machines in the country.
Hello?
You hearing me? I'm not hearing me, you know. Dr. Dawes? Hold a second. We're not hearing you. Sign in and sign out back. As we reach the point for talk about what happening in the public health sector. So you're saying approximately 2 mammogram machines are functional in the public health care system. How many persons can one mammogram machine service?
Well, you know, one of the things that you realize is that if you don't take out some of these machines, give them some rest time so you can do servicing, what happens is that you'll run it right through and then it breaks down and it's a problem to get the parts and so on. And most of the time you have to get the parts from overseas, which is what happened to my machine right now. You know, last year I was offering free mammograms. This year I don't even have a machine that's working. I'm trying to get it online. Some unfortunate incident. But if you're running full capacity, it's difficult to say because then you have other variables like the radiographers. We have a lot of radiographers. Not every radiographer does mammography. So you have to make sure that you have those. You might have issues with booking and so on. But running at full stretch, I mean, maybe 10 to 15 per day is reasonable.
So on average then, in the truth.
And if you're running full blast 5 days a week, I mean, even say you're doing 25 days a week, 400 a month. 40.
Totally inadequate.
Yeah.
So then that means that there's a high probability that we have significant portion of our women in Jamaica who have a breast cancer and not realizing.
Yes. And you know, Andre, why I say, boy, I really need to do better and try to do these shows more often and make more videos. There's a lady who came in and said that she saw me talking about colon cancer on the show, your show, and came in and did a fit test. When we had done that, we had done a give it, but I think she came in, did the fit test, was positive.
Really?
You know, and found something. So, you know, when you do these things, you're doing a service. So somebody watching, unfortunately, has some cancer where if they don't go and check it out, or some precancerous lesion, if they don't go and check it out, you know, it's gonna result in something serious, unfortunately. You know,
so
and
you able to start to run like a treatment plan or something like that?
Yeah, naturally. But you know, it's finding out. That's the big thing, and finding out early enough.
So on average, how much is it to do a mammogram in Jamaica?
The cheapest is, I think, Cancer Society at 5,500, but most places is like 8,000, 8,500, 9,000. One place has it for about 18,000.
18,000 to do a mammogram test?
Different technology. So it varies, but you know, if you don't have that money to go in and do it, it costs you a lot more in the long term. But there are people who genuinely cannot afford it.
Mm-hmm.
I told, when I was doing my thing last year, I told a friend of mine, he's in politics on the other side though.
Hey, Lord Jesus. Mm-hmm.
No, man. You know, you still have people cross the fence. And I said to him, why don't you send some of your people come? Because it's not a political thing that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just, you know, joke about it and say, just don't make them wear green, come. But he said, even though it's free, when he checked up how many buses they have to take from his constituency to come into Kingston and back to country,
Mm-hmm.
that free mammogram suddenly became something that's $10,000
Oh,
because of the taxis you have to take and the bus and all of these things. So when I said the priority that I would have as Minister of Health,
mm-hmm.
you know, are to make it affordable or free
Across the country
and accessible, because it can be affordable, but it's not accessible.
Oh, that is true.
So people can't get to where they need to go. You need to have a mammogram in every single parish. You need to have a cervical cancer screening,
Mm-hmm.
you know, programs across every parish. You have to have an endoscopy unit where they're doing colonoscopies in every single parish. It can't be a situation that like what exists now, where if you are bleeding, passing bright red blood, and that is a clear-cut symptom of colon cancer. The date that you are getting in the public system for a colonoscopy is in 2026.
Whoa.
That cannot continue to happen.
So you're saying
So
that
when you wait,
clear blood,
obvious sign. So, but you understand now why 70% or 75% of colon cancers on diagnosis are advanced. If you pass in blood now and you wait in a year to get confirmation with your colonoscopy, what do you think they're going to find? Even if it's a polyp this year, it's going to be a cancer next year.
whoa, I'm so afraid.
So there's a lot that needs to be done now for healthcare in Jamaica, because the average person simply cannot access good healthcare.
I want you to.
Stay tuned for more PDTV News Evening Highlights. Remember to show your support. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.